on creative freedom today because I actually recorded an episode. I recorded an episode with my guest artist for this week, but I want to take a little bit of time to edit it and make it a little nicer. So I decided to come on for a little live here and talk about some things, and then you'll get to see that full episode later. But today, my episode on creative freedom is focused on nature and just working with nature as a tool for creative freedom as well as neutral time. So I grew up in a very small town and it didn't have a whole lot of stimulation outside of, just the natural world. I grew up in the forest near the ocean, and I just found that sort of peace and, not necessarily silence, because you can hear the birds and the waves and the wind and all that stuff, but that slowness really allowed for a very creative lifestyle, because I wasn't constantly being inundated with information. I had some time to just walk in circles for hours and just catch a wind of something that inspired me, catch a curiosity or catch an interest, rather than feeling constantly bombarded with information. And I think that's something that our world, especially now with social media, it's a tool that you can use for sure. But the one thing about it is it often can be so fast. And one thought goes to the next thought, to the next thought, to the next thought. Never get that time to just slow down and see what comes through you when there's nothing, no stimulation, no interruptions, no busyness, So, just having moments of silence is so important. And with like electricity or kind of energy, how it works, it always comes in like these three, active, passive, and neutral, or like masculine, feminine, and androgynous. In religion, it might be known as like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's just these like little things that these three things that create a full circuit of energy. And so with the active, passive, and neutral, when we are in our creative flow, when we can really connect to active, passive, and neutral, there's never a time where we experience writer's block. It just means that we need to be in a different state. So active is the things you're doing actively. I'm actively creating this podcast episode right now. I'm actively saying hello, nice to meet you, Brian. I'm actively producing something. And then there's our passive, where we're receiving information, but we're not necessarily like, doing anything. So listening to a podcast is passive, or just kind of like taking in information, an audiobook or something like that's very passive. And then our neutral is the time that we don't do anything, where we don't take in information and we don't put out information. We just are in silence, and we see what comes. There's so much wind, so I'm going to take you down here. So we're just in silence and we see what comes. And that is where the most beautiful inspiration comes in. That is where the most beautiful inspiration comes in. And when we're in that silence, that's when we get our biggest, that, we can't learn from a book, and we can't learn. We just receive. And so neutral time is something that's so important, that a lot of people, because we're constantly inundated with social media, or constantly inundated with information, or feel like we have to work all the time, that we don't get that neutral time. And so I really, really love being outside or just in nature to just really receive the neutral time. And you're absolutely right, Eric. I do feel very privileged. I live in a place with a lot of beautiful natural places to exist, but even when I was living in the city, you know, I could always find a little patch, a little patch of grass. And there's also a degree of discipline that I need for my neutral time, because sometimes I don't want to experience my sometimes it can be scary because my thoughts can be so fast, or maybe the thoughts that I don't like to see can be so fast. So I can avoid neutral time by scrolling on my phone, or by, you know, just bombarding myself with information. But when I take a minute and say, okay, it's okay, whatever thoughts come in, and not judge them. And once those kind of come and go, then I can finally have a moment to be with myself. And it's so important. And so I really love coming to these places. Like this is Blomidon. It's a beautiful ocean. And there's, you know, these beautiful red stones. It's just in Nova Scotia, but I love coming to these places because I find my thoughts slow down, because I'm actually grounding and I'm putting my feet in the ground and my hands on the earth. And when I do that, it slows down my nervous system enough that the crazy thoughts don't seem so crazy anymore, and they slow down a little bit. So if you're having a hard time with neutral time, taking a little bit of time outside can be really helpful. Actually, when I was younger, there's a little forest behind where we lived, and all the waterfalls here are nice, but I miss the ocean and hope to be able to, if you come back to Nova Scotia, let me know. But yeah, when I was younger, there was a tree that was in our backyard, and I would always walk to the tree, and I would climb it and I would sing to it. I would do it all the time, but sometimes when I felt stressed especially, and I would put my forehead on the tree, and I would just tone, and I would just go, ooh. But the tree, it would bounce back a sound. And it was like I was harmonizing with the tree. And so it would be a different note. These are called overtones. So it would be a harmonious note that suited with my note, but it was a little different. And I would just, ooh, and the birds are tweeting too. And I was just singing, it would come back. And I found so much warmth and healing just from that time that I took just with the tree. So yeah, if this little pocket of time that I'm popping on here is just inspiration for you to take some time and in complete silence. There was actually this one woman who, her kids I taught theater to, and they were so creative. They made origami, they made these crazy swords out of things they would find out of just trash, and like they were so creative. And I remember saying to her, I was like, why are your kids so cool? And she said, I believe in boredom. I don't entertain them at all times of the day. I just let them get bored sometimes, and they come up with really cool things. So I believe in boredom, although I don't always practice it, but it's important too. I don't know what it means if your girlfriend ignores you. It really depends. She might explain why. Maybe just ask her, or maybe she's just taking neutral time. Maybe she's just in her hobbies and getting lost in the moment. It's really interesting in this day and age. We do expect instant responses because we have our phones on all the time. So sometimes people just put their phone away, but you know, that's a conversation to have with her. Read The Hidden Life of Trees. You'll like it. You know what? I started to read it, but then I lent it to my grandmère, and so I didn't finish it. But it did start really beautifully. So I would love to finish it. Thank you for that recommendation. Hello, Louis and Fatuma and Xander. Still don't know that one. Yep. Sorry to hear that, but absolutely, maybe just have a conversation with her. But anyway, yeah, I hope y'all have a beautiful day. I want to get that device I showed you online to hear the song. Oh yes, I've seen that, you know, where people put their little plugs on the things, and then it plays the song. I've seen that, and it looks so cool. But you know, you can start singing with the trees before you get the device. The trees will respond, and the birds will usually respond too. And you know, there's a lot of nature sounds. Rocks are fun. I started practicing like hitting rocks against each other, and they've got great rhythm. Like the OG drum. I've been just playing around with that kind of thing, and it's been really fun. But yeah, so just taking a little time let yourself surprise yourself. But I'm gonna waft off right now because I do want to enjoy my neutral time on the beach. But I just wanted to pop on and say that because my full-length episode, I realized it would take a little longer to edit, and I wanted to be very rock music. It is. Maybe that's where they got it from. But yeah, so I'm gonna be doing a couple edits on that video, and I wanted to be regular about my Wednesday posts because I want to be consistent and build that practice and be there with it. But oh, you know what? Maybe I'll sing a little song before I head off with my little rock. I don't know if you can hear it. Do you hear the willow weeping? Please forget me not. Do you see my heart is beating? Let me try that again. Do you hear the willow weeping? Please forget me not. Do you see my heart is bleeding? Plantain is all I've got. There are nettles in the meadow, teardrops from the sky, ginger tea, raspberry leaf, and a song to help you cry. Queen Anne has pricked her finger, now there's blood upon her lace. Damn spots, why do they linger? Why will they not erase? The arrow is in season, search and you will see. The sparrow gives us reason, reminds us to be free. Why are we always rushing? Who can find the time? She's high upon the mountain and she's searching for a rhyme. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Oh, how do I